So there you have it. That's where we start. It's an easy show today, at least the start of it. You can't defend, unless you live in New England, you can't defend McDaniels. It's impossible. You can't do it. It's a rotten, nasty thing to do. It's all there is to it. You want to say I'm too vociferous about it? This happens all the time. You know what? I've seen it. I tell you who does this. Bill did this, Parcells, and he didn't do this right. He was bad with the Pats. Now, Bill, listen, he's an all-time great, and he's overcome that. But I had many issues with what he did, and obviously Belichick. Go ask a Jet fan. He didn't do a good job there either, which we have discussed, which was highlighted. But this one is rotten. 3 weeks, you keep the Colts in limbo, and then you decide to blow them off. Come on now. Jeez. I mean, you can't defend it. Matt in L.A. starts us, and he's on Mad Dog Unleashed. Matt, good afternoon. How are you today? What do you have for me?
Great, Chris. How are you?
All right, Matt. Thank you. What's up now? Let me hear.
Well, what a weasel this McDaniels is, and especially to hide behind your family and say they're settled.
Oh, that's a bunch of nonsense, the family. When these coaches give you... Now, how come there wasn't a problem when he went to Denver? I mean, he had kids then, I bet you. Wasn't that long ago. That's a bunch of garbage. When somebody gives you that family nonsense, that is a... And then he didn't have the guts when Ballard asked him, based on Ballard's press conference today, when Ballard asked him straight up, are you in or out? He hemmed and hawed for 60 seconds. So the guy didn't even have the guts to say, you know what, Chris, I'm out. Sorry, goodbye. I would have had more respect if he handled it that way, but he hemmed and hawed. Terrible. Go ahead.
Yeah, he didn't give him a straight answer. So, question for you. When during the interview process, when a coach is doing his due diligence, does he get access to Luck's medical records or anything like that?
I don't know that. He probably doesn't, because if he doesn't take the job, then he can use that for if he goes back to where he came from or he takes another job. So they are honest with him, but he doesn't get a chance to check for instance, if you get a job interview somewhere, do you get a chance to look at the books before you take in the interview process? You do not. So now he may have had a chance to look at it in the last 3 weeks after he agreed to do it. But remember, he's coaching the Pats, so he's worried about them. They got playoff games. I'm not sure how much time he actually spent on it. But as far as the job process, no, he does not. Teddy in Maine, and he's aboard. He's on Mad Dog Unleashed. Teddy, good afternoon. How are you today?
Hey, Dog, how you doing?
Hello, Ted.
The guy already touched. You got 4 kids. I got 2 kids. The other guy just said it. The hide behind your kids is disgusting. They knew since December Daddy was moving to Indy. They were saying goodbye to their friends. That's just a bunch of BS, and even adds to the coward nature of this guy. What about the guys, his buddies, his staff that he hired? He screwed over his friends. They're stuck.
Well, but remember, those coaches are going to stay, and they also were promoted. He can't hire a linebacker coach to be a linebacker coach. If you do that and move to another team, you have to be promoted. So he hired the Cowboy linebacker coach, who's now the defensive coordinator. So they got a pay bump, and they got a job, and they got a better job. The person that it hurts, Teddy, is the new coach who comes in, because he's got to work with McDaniels' staff. That's who it hurts.
Exactly, and then those guys could get cleaned out in a year. It's just not a good thing. Let's call it what it is. Brady went to Kraft, cried, Daddy, make him stay. They sat in the room. He said, hey, listen, I'll give you $2 million more a year, and when Big Bill over here in the other chair retires, you get the keys to the castle. Oh, that sounds awesome. After the ESPN story of how much they all hate each other, Bill's going to be really happy with this, because now Brady went over his head. Probably.
I'm not sure if listen. Brady wanted to keep him, Ted, but I think some of that may have happened. But I think the origin of the whole scenario is that he got cold feet coaching the Colts. After he didn't, it wasn't like he was going to coach the Colts, I don't think, and then Kraft went in for a late sweep. I think he was out of the Colts, or was very dubious about going there in the last 48 hours, and Kraft saw an opening and took advantage of it. But I don't think that occurred in the last 3 weeks. I think it just happened in the last 2 days, when McDaniels was having second thoughts, probably told Kraft, and then Kraft, realizing he had a chance to keep him, did what he had to do. And you can't blame Kraft for that. Can't blame Kraft. Kraft's got no obligation to help the Indianapolis Colts. That's not Kraft's fault. All right. If you have an employer who you think is going to employee and you think he's going to go to another radio station, to a competitive radio station, I'll use that as an example, my career, where you have a guy who's going to go to another station. Let's say you were at WFAN and all of a sudden your contract was up and you had a chance to go to ESPN radio. And you go to ESPN radio, but you had to finish an FAN deal because your contract had 3 more weeks to run and kept you on. Doesn't happen in radio, but let's say they did. In that scenario. And then in the, when the 3 weeks were up, you all of a sudden said, geez, do I really want to go to ESPN? Do I really want to go there? Do I really want to go? No, I don't. And then you tell your bosses at FAN, you know what? If you can do something for me, even if you can't, would you take me back? They take you back if they liked you. They take you back. I've seen it happen. I had an old general manager once at FAN who left to become he was a sales manager, who left to become the general manager of WLIRR, a good rock station in Long Island, did it for 3 weeks, hated it, or he didn't want to do it. He went to Mr. Karmazin and asked to come back, and Karmazin gave him his job back. I've seen it. And remember, who's Karmazin's best friend? Bob Kraft. Fact. So you can't don't blame Kraft. That's not fair. That I don't. I mean, I'm not a Kraft lover, but I gotta give him a break on this. Scott in Tampa, Mad Dog Unleashed. Scott, good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Doggy. Thanks. First, one quick comment on Butler, and then to McDaniels. Chris, after that came out yesterday during your show about what he said, something is truly up because for a guy who played 98% of defensive snaps this year to all of a sudden not be on the game plan doesn't make any sense. So there's something up because he said he did nothing wrong. So something's going on.
How about if I just...
We're never going to find out, but...
How about if I just explain to you this, and then let's see what you say. The kid didn't... Let's just say, all right, I didn't see the film. Kid did not play great in the championship game. He underachieved some this year. He's a free agent. He was sick. He missed the first 2 days of the week. He didn't come with us on a team plane. He wasn't great in practice. You know what? We're going to de-emphasize him this week. Supposedly you knew that, and we'll go in a different direction. If that was the case, would you have a problem with Belichick doing that?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why, and I'm going to get to McDaniels here. Yeah, Chris, because I would just look him in the eye and say, Eric Rowe and Bonamisi on their best day isn't as good as Butler on a bad day, so you still play Malcolm Butler.
Well, I think the other argument is you're down. You've given up 1 million points. You might as well try him in the game. So, I mean, at halftime,
something's up there. Something.
Yeah, something's a little. And you're never going to find out. Never going to find out. Go ahead. Next.
Here's the thing on McDaniels. First, Chris, he's a weasel. You don't do this, and the only thing you can hope, Chris, is that he's there, and when he gets the keys to the castle and Belichick's retired, Brady follows him out the door, and McDaniels gets stuck with nobody at quarterback so that he stinks. Because if you don't think Tom Brady had something to do with this, Chris, you're crazy. Just the way he had something to do with Garoppolo getting out of there as fast as possible. Brady's hands are all over this. He wanted to keep
Scott, here's the point. Scott, here's the point. Here's the point. I am sure Brady, when he got wind of McDaniel getting cold feet, had some influence. But he is not the reason why McDaniel got cold feet. McDaniel's got cold feet for whatever the reason. He got nervous, maybe luck, whatever it was, and he decided that he didn't want to go. And then Brady and Kraft probably had some influence to push him over the edge. But Brady did not pound him for the last 3 weeks saying, why are you taking this job or anything like that.
But I don't think he pounded him either, Chris. And the other difference is Belichick left the Jets, as you have said, because of the ownership deal. Now, he didn't handle it right, but he left because of the transition of Leon Hess to whoever. That was the problem there. And look, Brady didn't push him out the door, but there's no doubt, as you said, once he got wind of it, he was on the phone to Robert Kraft saying, "Keep him. Pay him what you got to pay. Let's."
Well, yeah. You can't. Listen. You can't blame Brady for that. It's his quarterback. He's his coordinator. I don't kill Brady for that either. You know, again, the person who gets all the grief here to me is McDaniels. Because if he didn't get cold feet and he didn't get scared and he didn't treat the coach like this, Brady and Kraft, they could have basically sold him the Kingdom of Oz. It didn't make any difference. He wasn't going to be a head coach. They could see what the thing that he turned down, the Patriots could not supply. He turned down a chance to coach an NFL team. The Patriots did not give him the team to coach. They may have given him a little more money, but they didn't give him the team. That's what he turned down. So no matter what Kraft or Brady said, they could not give him what Indianapolis had offered him. They couldn't do that. So that's why I can't give him too much grief, Brady or Kraft, for the end result here. Bottom line is that McDaniels, for whatever the reason, we're never going to find out there either, because he is dirt all over America. He is not going to do any interviews. He doesn't do any, he thinks he's bigger than everybody. He has disdain for the media. He is just not a guy that's going to be available. You can write that down. So you're never going to find out. You hear the coach side of it, but you're never going to hear his side of it. So you're only going to hear it by hearsay. He's not going to hold a press conference. But for whatever the reason, and you can take a shot at what those reasons may be, and I don't think it's because, the Patriots convinced him to stay. He wanted to leave. He wanted to bail out. But by doing so, he absolutely crippled Indianapolis. And that's a rotten, nasty thing to do. It's nasty. He had 3 weeks, and he does it 2 days after the Super Bowl. That is not a cool thing to do. We'll take a break with the update. Dan Lang, Mad Dog Unlimited.